Hi. So there isn't really going to be a script for this video, but let's start with the obvious explanation. This is not my house, obviously, nor is this my dorm room, obviously. For my internship, I'm staying with a host family, and I have finally gotten to a point where I can actually settle down and start doing some stuff. Now, I know I promised a couple weeks ago that I would be making more stuff regularly. Obviously, that's not the case. And a big reason as to that is I couldn't figure out a way to streamline the This Week in Braves Country series in a way that's not going to be completely time consuming for me because those episodes, even the most bare to the basics, bare to the bone episodes, like the two I released most recently, took about 4 hours to edit. I just don't have 4 hours of my time. But again, I'm here for my internship. Host family was kind enough to put me up in this great room. Thank them very much. But let's get into the actual meat of the video. So, since I've been gone, it has not been great for the Braves. The month of May has not been kind to them over the past 4 or 5 years. And this year, I would say it was quite horrific. Not only did they end with a losing record, they had the MLB's worst offense, and they lost Ronald Acuna Jr. Yeah, let's talk about Ronald. If you follow me on socials at all, I the night Ronald went down, I was very just um, it felt sad seeing him over the past year and seeing him this offseason, how much he loves and cares for the game. It it really hurt me that he just he's not gonna be able to play it at the level that he has been able to his entire life. Look, I'm not putting anything past Rollin at all. I'm not counting him out of the odds. I'm not doing anything like that. But two torn ACLs in both your knees, I will say this: if there is a MLB player that can come back from this injury, it's Ronald Acuna Jr. The dude is crazy athletic. He's still pretty young, and he is going to be more driven than he was the first time. So with Ronald out, the outfield picture continues to look dim. You have now Adam Duvall playing every day, as well as Jared Kelenic, who we'll get to in a second, and Michael Harris, and he's injured too. Jesus. The Michael Harris injury is not great. I love watching Michael out there. He provides Gold Glove defense, and I know he hasn't got it started this year at all, really. But look, that is a potential 2020 bat just gone. It's off the shelf. The official injury for him is a grade 2 hamstring strain, which hamstring and oblique are things you never want to hear a player go through, not because they're career altering, but because they're injuries that can take months and months to recover from because they are just so finicky. Grade 2 for Michael is probably going to look like at least 1 month, maybe two. So that basically puts his timetable coming back around late August, maybe mid August. Worst case scenario, early September, which means the outfield is now Jared Kelenic, Adam Duvall, and Ramon Laureano. Okay. Also on the team is Brian Anderson as well as JP Martinez, but obviously those three bats you don't want in your everyday starting lineup in the slightest. Heck, even Adam Duvall, the way he's played recently, you don't want him in your everyday starting lineup. We'll get to him in a second. But an Acuna injury and now a Michael Harris injury leaves one everyday starter who's actually starting to turn the page, and that is the new leadoff hitter, Jared Kelenic. Kelenic was off to a really rough patch in May, along with the rest of the team. Borderline unplayable, and it looks like he's finally starting to figure some stuff out. His walk rate isn't where I would like it to be as of right now, especially if he's going to be slid into that leadoff role. But look, he's not a leadoff hitter. I don't think the Braves are ever going to expect him to be a leadoff hitter. But as long as he's hitting like he is now, put him up there. But look, he just doesn't profile as that type of guy. I don't think his walk rate is ever going to be elite. It should be average, which I don't think it is right now. But he's striking out less. He's making a lot more contact. And
why do you like him?
Because he gets on base.
So with one league average bat in the outfield, Alex Anthopoulos has some work to do. Again. And let me stress this to people. because some people just cannot get it through their head. The reason the Braves won the World Series in 2021 was because they got A, extremely hot, and B, extremely lucky. All four players that Alex Anthopoulos traded for hit. They were all aces, right? Aces in the hole. They all worked out. That doesn't happen every year. Really, Adam Duvall was the only one who was doing stuff the entire year, such as torching the Braves as a member of the Miami Marlins after being non-tendered. And now that we've circled all the way back to Adam Duvall, let's talk about him. Adam Duvall needs a platoon partner. And with Jared Kelenic starting every day, he doesn't really have that. Adam Duvall has been god-awful against right-handers this year, which is kind of strange because he was always like a reverse split guy. I mentioned this when we first signed him, way back in February, I think it was. It was sometime during spring training. No, it was during March, excuse me. But he was never been a huge platoon split guy. He's always been pretty decent against right-handed hitters. That's what made him pretty good last year with the Red Sox. But this year, he has a negative WRC plus, which is pretty hard to accomplish, I would say. But against lefties, he's mashing fine, so he's doing exactly what the Braves wanted him to do when they signed him. But the thing is, now with a depleted outfield, you don't have anyone to pair with him. If you wanted to, you could say you could pair him with JP Martinez, but for whatever reason, Snitker really doesn't want to put JP Martinez out in the outfield. I honestly don't know what else he needs to see from Adam Duvall to realize that he's just not getting it done against right-handed pitchers. But now, talking not about the outfield, let's talk about the infield, because there is a glaring hole in the infield too. Orlando Arcia's defense has been very, very, very good, but he has not been hitting. Oh gosh, he has not been hitting in the slightest. I like Orlando. He seems like an awesome guy, but the Braves signed him and traded for him as bench depth. But we've always known this about Orlando. The defense is elite. You cannot argue with the defense. It's so good. But the bat, it's not there right now. So, in a slim market that gets slimmer by the day because of the expanded playoffs, we'll talk about that at the end. The Braves trade market for shortstops is not good. So either Orlando has to start hitting, or they're going to push Nacho Alvarez all the way up, and he's going to stink, which is really going to hurt my feelings because I love Nacho Alvarez, and I want him to be the Braves shortstop of the future. I don't actually believe that he would stink at the major league level. He's just not ready. He's really young, and he needs to develop his power a lot more, which he is doing in Gwinnett, I should add. Again, big Nacho Alvarez fan. If you want to know more about him, go watch my video on some underrated prospects I talked about all the way back. I also mentioned Spencer Schwellenbach in that video too, so I hit on both of those. Unfortunately, one that I hit on as well is Owen Murphy, and he is out for the year with Tommy John surgery. Good Christ, it's the whole team, isn't it? Oh my God. So in the infield, it seems like people are starting to hit. Here I come to defend Matt Olson. He's been pretty good for the past month and a half. Matty O is not going to be what he was last year. I think any sensible person would have said that. Hitting 54 home runs in 1 year is crazy. And any other year, he might have won the MVP? Oh my God. MVP. But Matt seems to have turned it around. Matt had always seemed like he was just kind of had a really shaky, maybe 2.5 weeks, and then got back on the ball. He was just getting very, very unlucky. A lot of hard hit balls from him, just, found gloves and this, that, and the other. Blah, 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 blah. Let's talk about Ozzy Albies, who, when he came back from his toe injury, seemed like he was the same guy, but then he fell into the same exact bowl of whatever the Braves fell into in May, where everything just sucked. Ozzy seems to be okay now. There was that weird time where he was batting leadoff against left-handers, which he still might, but Ozzy Albies is not a leadoff hitter in the slightest. No. Then we get to the hot corner. Austin Riley. Good gracious. There was a time where he looked just not dialed in at all. He was swinging through 94-mile-per-hour fastballs, center cut, and he just looked lost up there. But I attribute a little bit of that to the injury, because, look, he was struggling before he got injured with the oblique, or the side tightness, whatever they want to call it. He was struggling before that, but he said before he went on the IL, before he got that injury, he was like, "Look, I'm right there, man. I just gotta get a couple more swings. I get a couple more under my belt, and I'll be good." So I believed him, and then he goes down for 2 weeks. And look, if you're right there and the timing's just there, and you've been struggling all year, you finally get to that point, you get to the summit, right? And then you get injured and you can't play ball for 2 weeks. Yeah, that's definitely going to mess you up. And obviously, I think a lot of his struggles were magnified because for whatever reason, Brian Snitker put Austin Riley in the 2 hole. If Austin Riley is on one of his torrent hitting streaks, absolutely. Yes. But Austin has not been good the entire year. Why was he batting second for like a week and a half? It seemed like the Orioles series was where I think everybody kind of looked each other in the eyes and be like, dude, what are we doing? Obviously not in games 1 and 2 because they lost, but it seemed like Brian Snitker was trying something different, including moving the best hitter to the 5th spot in the lineup. So hopefully some of the new blood and hopefully some of this frustration shedding is going to show these guys that, hey, eh, let's pick this up, right? Let's do something. There was a podcast episode by Hammer Territory. If you have not checked out Hammer Territory, they are formerly Battery Power. Fox shut down their podcast, but now they're back with Hammer Territory. Please go check them out. Best Braves podcast I've ever heard, and they are multiple times a week, so you don't lose stuff. But all 4 of the hosts do a great job. Anyway, Scott Coleman recently interviewed Justin Toscano of the AJC, who gets, access to the locker room and such. And he said that, like, for the first time, there was some funk in the Braves clubhouse, right? They were kind of like, what's going on? A little bit of confusion is the word that Justin used. And both of the hosts, Scott and Justin, were like, this seems like the first time in a while the Braves have actually been punched in the mouth, and now they're just kind of struggling to do something about it. And they're right. Over the past 6 years, the Braves have not faced any adversity, really. Even in 2022, when you really could just attribute it to World Series hangover. This has been the worst offensive stretch by them in a long time, probably since 2017. And speaking of 2017, they had lost 5 straight since 2017 in that Orioles series as we finally circle back to that. The Braves figured something out, and I don't know what exactly they did. And it might be Snip Bear. It might be some sage in the clubhouse. I don't know. I really don't. The guys started to hit, and they started to hit well. Austin had 3 home runs in 3 games versus Tampa. Matt Olson continued to be Matt Olson. And Marcell Ozuna continued to be Marcell Ozuna, who is currently trailing big time to Shohei Ohtani in the NLDH All-Star voting, which he really shouldn't because Marcell Ozuna is currently chasing a triple crown. It's June. I know it's June. But Marcell Ozuna is currently chasing a triple crown, and he should be the National League starting DH over Shohei Ohtani. Now, I didn't talk about any of the pitching over this, but the pitching, oh Lord. Chris Sale, Ronaldo Lopez, and Max Fried have been outstanding, and Charlie Morton has been okay. Even a terrible 5th spot in the rotation has been able to keep the Braves team ERA in the green. And that's crazy, because in that 5th spot you had people like Bryce Elder, as well as Ray Kerr, cycling in and out and in and out. And it seems like the Braves have kind of leveled off with some normalcy because Spencer Schwellenbach has come up, and after a rough first outing, he's looked pretty solid. If he can lock down that 5th spot, that would be amazing. And I'm sure at some point we will see Bryce Elder again in Atlanta because he is just such a valuable asset to have. He's been really good at Gwinnett. Like, the pitching has been incredible this year. Chris Sale won Pitcher of the Month and then immediately gave up 8 or 7 runs to the Athletics. What? Max Fried was really, really good. Max Fried on 3 separate occasions this year has carried a no-hitter, which is awesome. And Ronaldo Lopez has been amazing too. He currently holds the MLB's best ERA, and I think he has a 2.47 xFIP. So I mean, he's evening out really good. But as we get to the end of this video, there are some obvious needs for this Braves team. We need outfielders, and we need infield depth. We need bats, bottom line. We don't need people who can play defense or anything like that. We have plenty of defensive replacements. We need people who are going to swing the stick. A lot of people have said Luis Robert from Chicago. No, do not trade for Luis Robert. And if you do, you are going to give up a lot of capital. And I don't think the Braves want to do that because we just don't have the stuff to do that right now. We just don't. However, there are some moves on the margin to be made that could be made. Jesse Winker is a guy who fascinates me out of Washington, as well as J.J. Bleday. And also, I wouldn't blink twice at a Jazz Chisholm rumor. Jazz Chisholm can play outfield and maybe shortstop? No, I don't want to say that. I take that back. That's my bad, guys. Like I said, the shortstop market is extremely thin, so our replacement for Orlando Arcia might not be on the way because half of the National League is still under or at 500. It is not good looking. Heck, I think the three that are actually in wildcard spots right now, or battling for a wildcard spot, other than the Braves, are under 500 right now. But that's a wrap on this video. Sorry it took a while to get this out. Like I said, I've been moving around. There was a time where I was sleeping on a friend's floor. Then I was in an Airbnb that locked me out of the Airbnb. I was in a hotel. I've had a month, but we're all settled now. Hope you enjoyed the video. Give a like, give a subscribe if you are so inclined. Thank you very much for watching again. If you want to follow me on socials, I'm on Instagram, Twitter, X, and TikTok. X, I've been a lot more regular on, but it's in the sense of I'm tweeting with my internship, and I hope everything's been doing good with you for the last month or so that I've been absent. Thank you for watching again, and as always, have a good one.